And that's a huge problem. Because if you bring those kids into that situation, and then you bring them maybe not back home, but to a different part of the United States, and you say you need to fire on this crowd, what is going to happen? They're going to be afraid not to.
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
And that's the fear mongering's in the military, and I don't agree with that either. You know?
Well,
I
listen,
understand that there's a command structure, but
a good friend of mine, that I grew up with, served in the military, and we've talked at length and through Facebook and everything, and he's told me some pretty terrible stuff that's happened that puts him into what he's got to deal with and live with, and then recently he just told me what he saw. Now he's been sort of vocal about my activism and the work that I've been doing, because it's for a lot of my friends and people that have known me for many, many years, it's probably like a really strange thing to them, and they don't really understand what's going on. And I'm trying to slowly make them realize that it's not, I'm not crazy, that this is no joke, that we're really literally talking about our lives and the future of not only our country, but of all humanity, which makes it sound even more absurd. So somehow I got to try to slowly soften my way in. But like I said, this friend of mine, and he lives he lives in the South, and now, and we grew up together in Queens and Bayside, New York. Went to Bayside High School together, and he messaged me about what happened on the bridge, how the cops corralled, and and he just finally, I was saying all this stuff, and I wouldn't say that he was disagreeing with me so much as he was just skeptical about how things are really moving in this particular direction. And he finally actually wrote the words, I'm awake. And I almost it's like almost like I'm getting teary-eyed now, because that's what this is all about. It's about waking the people up. It's about making them realize that it's not these cops' fault either. The ones that are the bad ones, that they're always they're bad, and they recruit them and they don't turn bad. See, that's the other thing the media puts playing. They always show these movies, the good cop and the bad cop. It's all part of the well, again, I don't want to give people go a little far with a lot of information, but Project Monarch, which was a CIA project, was to sort of influence the general concepts of television, and to sort of influence what people see and how they see it. And movies are that way, and it's still going on through Project Monarch and as well. And you got to understand that that's why they have these, the alien movies and all this stuff and going on, and the X-Files had a show where the terrorists hijacked a plane and crashed it into the World Trade Center. It was only aired a few months before 9/11. Everyone forgets that. There's just a lot of little clues to the Illuminati, and clues to symbolism and not numerology. That, like I said, my friend Chris Freedom Flowers from Montreal is a master on numerology, on the understanding of it, and did a great thing. I actually posted it on our YouTube page on that. I think you should check that out. It's amazing, and they do things by numbers. So 9/11 is a big number. 11/11 coming up is going to be a big 11, a big date. 11/11/11. It's going to be in numerology sense, but the object of having an event of something happening is most likely, I think, if something does happen. Again, through his research, and I thought it being really great, and he explained it, and I tend to believe it. I haven't done enough research to really get a full opinion, but that 11/9, something's going to happen on the 9th of November. Something, because it works into. It doesn't mean it has to be a terrorist attack either. I don't mean that, but he explained things, how the number 7 is about rebirth, and how the number 5 is death, and the Illuminati and their demonism aspect of it, or the Luciferian aspect, is that they do have to. It's literally like a sacrifice. People, they do things to mark an event of change with death, literally like a phoenix from the ashes. And I thought that was very interesting, so I'm going to definitely do some research on that, and maybe you'd like to too, I don't know. But
I agree with it. I mean,
you know,
they include a lot of things. They like to mark things a lot. I was
exactly.
watching a YouTube video probably 3 weeks ago, because I surf around a lot on the internet for information. Sometimes I'll browse videos. There's a lot of garbage, but once in a while you come across something interesting. And came across this video, and they were showing leading up to 9/11 how many movies where the clocks were set specifically to 9/11.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And multiple times in the movies, and they were saying, like, look, this is being done on purpose.
Well,
like this is them laughing, and I don't know if the person was right or if it was kind of coincidence, but it is a very interesting aspect in terms of how they like to throw their symbols and numbers into the media a lot, and people just don't realize it.
Absolutely true. And what's interesting, Nat, is that, like I said with my friend Chris, he's done a lot. I mean, literally 20 years of numerology research. You got to call the guy who knows his stuff. So I don't want to. I would never dispute anything that he says either. He's a true truth seeker. So all I mean is that I just personally haven't read into it, but it is absolutely not this New Age garbage, because people think about New Age numerology, New Age. New Age is just another form of the New World Order, religion, cult. And what they're moving towards with the, basically that's going to be the religion, the green religion, crystals in the grass and all that other stuff, and everybody
worship Mother Nature.
Exactly. That's literally what they're saying, because they're eugenists, as you and I know. But I think really what's interesting is that with this new movement, people waking up, as I was saying before, you got this curtain that people are beginning to look behind the curtain. And I think that it's our duty as Americans and to wake these people up to the fact that the Federal Reserve has always been the problem. Can you imagine how stupid and sleeping and unawake the American public are watching Dancing with the Stars and American Idol, that Ben Bernanke could be asked by Congress, who did you give the money
Where's
to?
the money go?
I don't know.
Where?
I don't know.
He didn't even say I don't know. He goes, I'm not telling you.
Oh, he always says I'm not telling. I can't. Yeah, I'm not telling you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, or various.
He said. They said, can you tell us where the money went? He goes, no.
He says no. That's right. That's better quote there, Nat. You're right. Exactly. That's exactly what he said. And I
arrogantly.
Just arrogantly, because he is Ben the bankster, Bernanke, but. Hey, listen, he owns Al Capone's gun. He has it on the door behind him. And then they make that horrible propaganda movie, which is just so obvious. Again, people that are sleeping, I hope you're listening to this part. You like Paul Giamatti. I think he's one of the funniest actors ever. I think he's great. What do you think about Paul Giamatti? You like Paul Giamatti? Nat, do you like
I don't know him very well.
He's the actor that played he played Ben Bernanke in the Too Big to Fail HBO movie. He also played Pig Vomit in Howard Stern's movie. He was Pig Vomit.
Okay, I don't know him. I actually didn't see either one of those movies.
Okay, well, anyway, doesn't matter. So Ben the Bankster is played by a very likable, sympathetic actor who happened to go to Yale Drama School and happens to be Skull and Bones, and his name is Paul Giamatti. Now, Paul Giamatti plays Ben beautifully, sympathetically. You love him. You almost want to feel sorry for Ben. Paulson is played by William Hurt, who gives another performance how totally troubled, because that's the kind of actor he is, to deal with inner conflict. I mean, I happen to be a screenwriter and went to film school, so I do know a little bit about the workings of a script. And he has this inner conflict of how terrible this whole situation is, and how it really bothers him, and that the people this is gonna ruin the country and all this stuff. And I can't believe the drivel that's coming from their mouths as they act. And it was all a totally pro-Federal Reserve movie, and I couldn't believe it. If you ever get a chance to see it, watch it.
Don't forget, Henry Paulson was very nervous. He was
Paulson?
Oh yeah, because here's the thing: he took millions of dollars during the bailout. He actually derived his millions from the bailout. So, and then they said, how did you get this money? And he said, I got a waiver from the ethics office. And they said, who gave you a waiver? And he couldn't answer the question.
I did. He did. He gave himself the waiver.
Yeah, he gave himself a waiver.
Oh, such criminals. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Isn't that what they want to do? Take away our freedoms through the Federal Reserve. I mean, as the crux of it, It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. And you've got people screaming too much freedom out there, and they don't know what they're talking about.
How can you have too much freedom
of speech?
How can you have too much freedom? Let's quantify that a little bit. Let's dig into that a little. Think about that. What does that mean? So you can't, you shouldn't be able to, I don't know, go out and have a drink because you might get pulled over. You shouldn't, eat salt because they're going to fine you. I don't know. Does it sound like that is better than let me eat my cheeseburger if I want to kill myself and leave me alone and don't entrap me if I have a couple of too many drinks? God forbid I might kill somebody, it's true, but you see, it sounds so bizarre to think that I'm not pro-drunk driving. I mean, I've never been arrested. I don't have a record. But, I mean, I understand the tyranny. I mean, I'm awake. Can't you see this? These people sit outside, the cops. And people are dumb, too, But they sit outside a bar and they wait in every little town to revenue, generate. And they get the guy, and the poor guy's, got to go 10 blocks to his house, and he just had a few beers and he had some dinner. In the 50s, the cop would have drove you home. Come on, buddy, you had too much. I mean,
Right.
how did this happen, Nat?
It's a part of the system, but I've definitely seen that. I've been to this one particular bar probably quite a few times over the past few years. I don't go there often, but I go there at least twice a year, and there will always be a cop sitting there. But they're not waiting for the most drunk person who the most intoxicated person who obviously will not be able to drive. They're waiting for the first person to drive away. That usually happens around 10:30, and then they're gone. I mean, you hit a checkpoint between 9, 11 o'clock at night. They're not waiting for all the people who dosed up and the bars are closed. They're getting the first round people who are probably not very intoxicated.
Yeah, but actually in my town in Torrington, Connecticut, and again, I like my police force is great. I have no problems with the police, but in fact, a couple of times I've been stopped because I'm in a band and it's very late at night. It's just weird. And they're okay, but they are out there looking. They're actually out there looking for people drunk at like 3:30 in the morning, which would be sensible.
Right.
But at the same token, I do know that there is a time period, like when the bars close, that they're out there and they're tagging them. And I know people that have gotten hit. I know a lot of people that have had problems with drunk driving. A very good friend of mine on Facebook is currently under some problems. He even wrote me a long letter about naming names as far as how there's corruption in certain elements of the parole and justice system right here in my town. So I'm not at liberty at this point to go too deeply into that, but I intend to cover it when he says once this litigation's done. But it looks as though there are a couple of violations of his constitutional rights. Clearly, the guy lost his license in 2006. Here, I actually think I have. Maybe not. I thought I had it over here. The guy lost his license in 2006 or 2001, I think, for 6 years or something. But they're making him pay all these fines and all this other stuff to get his license back, and forced him to, I don't know, they said that he would violate his parole or something if he didn't pay the fine, and it was really crazy. I mean, absurd stuff. Again, I've heard a lot of
from protecting the public to a revenue service.
It's absolutely true.